we have kind of touched on this, but I wanted to give you at least one chance, Ben, to acknowledge the fact that there is a much bigger sort of philosophical conversation, I think, to be had here about why someone should even be expected to like have their genes tested in order to validate their identity, or why we should even be like looking at our bodies in order to express ourselves. But putting that conversation aside for just a moment, what should we understand about sort of the biological or the genetic underpinnings of our gender or these other pieces of our identity?
It all comes down to, like, it's complicated, and
Mm,
you can't make assumptions about anybody. So really, what we need to do looking forward to the future and how we interact with people based on this information is just don't assume anything about the person you're talking to. Make sure you're listening, engaging in honest conversation, not just weaponizing certain scientific points to try to make someone feel like they're the problem. Um, the goal at the end of the day here, especially in this community, is humanism and trying to be the best people we can be, and making the world better than the way we found it. So, it's complicated. Don't assume you know things that you don't know,
hmm
and make sure that you are being a good listener and just kind of, yeah, being a good person.
Yeah. It is complicated, and I realize that that can feel like something of a cop-out response when I, am like hearing it from my little brother who is arguing about how, X this and XY that and all of these kinds of things. But I think a little bit of humility on these topics is valuable because, we don't all have the opportunity to study medicine, but even doing so, there are so many questions that are just not we're not able to answer as a society right now. So for folks who do want to kind of take that next step or who would like to dive into all of this a little bit further, do you have any recommendations for good resources or just for places for people to learn more or try to understand these things?
Yeah, I'll plug my own channel because I do talk about this, Student Dr. Ben on YouTube.
Hmm
I have videos about all of these pathways for embryologic development of biological sex. I have so many videos. They're early on in my channel, so my quality has increased since then. But the content's still there, and I break down the pathways individually and analyze what happens if this enzyme doesn't work, or what happens if this chromosome has the SRY or doesn't. We go through step by step what happens, what triggers what to happen, how you get the results that we do. So if you really want to learn more about the nitty gritty of this stuff, you can go watch those videos on my channel. Also, any other trans resources. If you know any trans people, talk to them. I do want to make sure that I'm warning you of certain things not to talk to them about. Trans people are not obligated to answer your questions on anything. So even if you have questions, and even if you have a trans friend, make sure that you get consent, that you ask them, hey, is it okay if I ask you these questions? Like those of us who are on these shows, generally, when we're on a show, we'll answer all your questions because we are consenting by being in this space and by opening ourselves up to questions. But if you have a friend, like, make sure that you are asking them appropriate questions and that you're not meaning harm by them, and also that you're not expecting them to be your educator on this when they necessarily don't need to be.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that thought. Before Nate takes us out for the night, did you have any other final words that you wanted to make sure to leave an impression with the audience about tonight?
I'm still waiting to hear what vajankles are.
We did make a pledge to the audience.
We did, so I feel like we ought to give Ben like at least like a minute. Tell us what vajankles are, because I gotta know.
Okay. So I had a friend send me send me this meme or something on Facebook. It was a listing from some kind of marketplace website for vajankles, and it is a sex toy that is a foot, like it's a foot with an ankle on it and a vagina on top of like where the ankle would be.
So it's like a pocket pussy.
So it's a fleshlight that's shaped like a
fleshlight
foot.
that's shaped like a foot. For people who are into that, no kink shaming here. If you're into
you want
that,
a fucking
there's
ankle,
products for you. But it was funny because the post had said like lightly used vajankle, and then it said no low balls. I know what I got. I was just like, it was just a weird ad. It was a weird ad.